So based on everything we've seen so far in Boruto, how would you end the series? It's a great question, by the way. So, not to try and reiterate and have Boruto parallel how Naruto ended, but I want to see an ideological clash, right? Because in the time skip scene, we see Boruto and Kawaki having this conversation, almost as if their ideologies are clashing as well, right? So, I think that that's a great way to end it, right? Now, as far as how it should end, it's extremely interesting because you gotta ask yourself, do you want the shinobi way of old, right, i.e. Naruto's ninja way, to die with the previous generation? Because that's what Kawaki is trying to eliminate. To him, the old shinobi way no longer suffices in dealing with the threats that exist, right? Because he sees Naruto get dealt with Jigen, and Ishiki sees Sasuke deal with Jigen and fail. He sees these threats becoming more and more apparent and high level. So to him, his ideology is, I have to retain power, right? And I have to protect Naruto, right? That's the only person he seems to care about on the face of the earth. And I have to avoid this happening. And because of that, unfortunately, the old shinobi way no longer works, right? So that's his ideology. His ideology is cheating has to be done. We have cyborgs with literally shinjutsu, while Naruto worked 10, 20 years to reach his level of power and still isn't enough. Right, so that's his ideology. Boruto's trying to defend that. Even in the time skip scene, he says, "I'm going to defend the ninja way." He implies that, right? He's trying to carry the mantle and defend his father and Sasuke's honor. Now, as far as how I want that to conclude, I don't know. I don't know if I want a repeat of the Naruto Shippuden conclusion, because I think we need change, right? I think change is important. Now, I'm not saying I want Kawaki to win and I want Boruto to die and Naruto's honor to be put to shame. I don't want that either, but I do want a different sort of conclusion. Maybe a consensus and a compromise. Maybe Boruto says, you know what? You're right. The old Shinobi way doesn't work, but I'm not going to just let it wash away. Let's come to a conclusion together, and let's create a new ideology. Right? I think that would be a great conclusion. They come to some sort of compromise after a prolonged battle, and they say, let's do this instead. That's what I would say a very good ending would be. I wouldn't mind Boruto winning, but to me it'd just be a repeat of the past. So that's what I would say. That's a great question, by the way. Very good question. Just saw Gear 5 in the title and wondered what was going on. So yeah, someone asked me a question on Goku versus Gear 5 Luffy. I haven't read One Piece, but I have read into Gear 5 a little bit. This is limited knowledge with the conclusion I'm giving, but from my understanding, Luffy has, with the Gear 5 ability, he has tune logic abilities, essentially implying that anything that is within his own imagination and within the parameters of it can come to reality. Right? It's kind of like SpongeBob or Popeye or Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes. It seems that's the case. I might be mistaken. I haven't even seen the animation. But if that's the case, Goku would most likely fail. Right? Because Luffy could literally imagine whatever he wants, and that happens. There's nothing Goku could do. Unless Goku theoretically blitzes his synapses and Luffy can't imagine in time. But even then, if Luffy imagines that he has infinite speed, it still won't be enough. Right, so Goku most likely falls, if that's the case. Again, this is limited knowledge. I haven't seen One Piece. I haven't read One Piece. This is just from what I've read. I could be wrong. So, how powerful do you think KCM2 is after the Minato manga? Would she be multi-continental to small planetary in AP? Yes, I do think that Minato, right, because this is what we do see in the manga. We see a teen iteration of Minato compete with a partially developed Bijou Bomb from a full tailed beast. As a teenager in the astral plane, where I have provided evidence that you're actually weaker in another person's astral plane than not, he was able to at least stalemate a partially developed Bijou Bomb from the full Nine Tails. That is preposterous for his age and for where he's at in his shinobi career. So if we imply that he has developed, and this KCM amp provides an amplification similar to Naruto's when he got KCM, then yes, I think he would most definitely at least be multi-continental in AP. As well as small planetary, that's quite the jump, but I do see it as a possibility. I don't see small planetary. I don't deduce that's a classification for anyone in the universe until we start hitting like Jubidara levels. you know, like Jubidar, possibly Jubito, but Jubidar levels, 6 past Naruto levels. So small planetary, I have a harder time accepting that he's that level of AP. But at multi-continental, yes, I do see him at least reaching those thresholds of AP. So, if you don't mind me asking, Jay, what are you in college for? I'm struggling with finding something to go back into school for myself. I'm a computer science major, so I actually just concluded my studies. Thankfully, thank God. It was a very rough time. But what I would say about school, from my experience, is firstly, pick something that you enjoy, but then be realistic with yourself. Ask yourself, am I actually good at these kind of things? Am I good at deducing, you know, arithmetic type equations, or am I good at writing? Am I good at speaking? Am I good at whatever the case may be? Find what you like, and if you're lucky enough to be good at it, then it's just tunnel vision. So, you graduated, Jay. Technically, I'm done, but as far as like the ceremony thing, I don't know when that's going to be for my educational institution. I don't know when they're going to do that. So, but technically, I'm done. I submitted my last project. It was a computer science project in Linux. For you guys that do computer science, I'm sure you're aware of that sort of environment. And yeah. Let's see here. 100%. Hey, no comment. Can't say who it is. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. Just know it's a great video, and shout out to him, the content creator, for letting me come on. So there's a lot of detail to Boruto's outfit. Since Boruto has an identity problem, the only way of telling people that he's the real Boruto is the stuff on his jacket. Yeah, that's a good observation. What we do know, right, looking at the picture here, he has Sasuke's coat, he has his sword, and he has his glove. Now, Sasuke doesn't appear to me to be the type of individual to just give things away. He doesn't. Now, we could be wrong, and you know, Sasuke has reformed from the Sasuke we once knew in the Shippuden narrative. But I just don't see him giving things away like that, especially things he uses in combat, like his sword. You know, it's almost as if he's dead, right? That's why I predict by the end of the narrative he'll most likely be deceased. Because if you have a sword, that's what he uses for combat. You could counter me and say, well, maybe Sasuke decided to go into hiding, or maybe he decided to, you know, retire and say, hey, you're the next one up, Boruto. I can't compete with these guys. Take my sword. You're better off without it. You're better off with it than I am anyway. That's a possibility, but that's not in his character, I'd say. So congrats. When can I call? Bless up. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, it was computer science is a rough you know, field of discipline to sort of delve into, but the rewards are good, you know. So when can I call? Bless up. Yeah, we're gonna do a call-in show maybe next week or the week after. It's been a while, so we want to talk to the people again. Into rubber, I mean sorry. Autocorrect. What did you say? Let me read up. Let's see here. Luffy's Gear 5 form is his awakened form. He can now, after the environment around him, turn anything he touches off, not run into rubber, including living beings. Oh, really? Very interesting. I'm eventually going to read One Piece. I've been reading JJK. I'm about 80%, not 80%, maybe like 70% done with the narrative. Very, very good narrative, by the way. If you have any JJK questions, I could answer much better. I haven't caught up to the Gojo and Sukuna stuff. I'm currently on chapter 173 during the Cooling Games. For you guys that have read the manga, you guys know what that is. And Yuji just finished conversing with one of the top sorcerers in the Cooling Games. I think his name was Higurama, and he gave him 100 points. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about if you read it. So, do you think Sasuke will also get strong in the time skip? I think that inevitably he's gonna have to compete. You know, I think that even in the last chapter, he wasn't blatantly inferior to Kawaki. I mean, he did do something against Kawaki. I think he defended an attack from Kawaki. So he's not absolutely inferior to someone of Kawaki's caliber. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's training with Boruto. So yeah, I do think he's going to be somewhat stronger. Maybe not, you know, stronger 10 folds over, but I do think he's going to be stronger. For sure. When I call, oh, and I cannot bust up. Sorry, I'm spitting through these. I got a big donation. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that a lot, brother. my mind is a little fried from that project, so yeah, I read that wrong. My bad. Appreciate that, man. It's a big accomplishment. Yeah, man. It's college. I would say, well, depending on the major, the difficulty will vary greatly, but college is just a lot of work, man. Mostly, you know. Be realistic with yourself. You know, that's what I tell people. If you're objectively speaking an individual with a very high IQ, then you can do basically any major you want, right? Including the top difficulty majors such as computer science, physics, etc. So I would be realistic with yourself when trying to pick a field of discipline to to delve into. That's what I would say. Appreciate that though, brother. Luffy Gear 5 and Kaido caps at moon level though. Really? Yeah, I've heard that several times. So I definitely need to check it out. Yeah, I know. I'm still going through it. Yeah, man. I've had many long nights. I'll say that. It's worth it at the end though. So I'll tell you that. It's been said that Gear 5 is only limited by his imagination. Yeah, exactly. That's what I read. And turned his imagination to reality. I mean, it can mean something about his power in the future, but for now, he's multi-continental. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, that imagination thing, that's literally toon logic, man. So guys like SpongeBob do things like that, or have that type of capability. Individuals like Big Bugs Bunny, individuals like Popeye, but like you said, you know, Luffy doesn't have those feats yet to show for it. It's just been stated. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what he does accomplish now with this form. So, but yeah, folks, great questions. Any questions at all? Feel free to ask. So Luffy has omnipotence. Yeah, definitely a derivative of it at best. At least a derivative of omnipotence, man. I mean, if he's able to make imagination reality, he has a derivative of omnipotence at the very least.